way. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Naraskricham Naram Shaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatam Vashyam Tasum Jayam Adirayet. So I'm going to read a few verses. We've got text 40, text 41, text 42, 43, and then 44 will be the actual verse. Unlike Rainus, I'm not going to read all the Sanskrit though, because I'll just follow over it. I'll just do the translations if that's okay. My dear gentle wife Bhavani, when one performs benevolent activities for others, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is very pleased, and when the Lord is pleased, I am also pleased, along with all other living creatures. Therefore, let me drink this poison for all the living entities. May thus become happy because of me. Srila Sukadeva Goswami continued, after informing Bhavani in this way, Lord Shiva began to drink the poison, and Bhavani, who knew perfectly well the capabilities of Lord Shiva, gave him the permission to do so. Thereafter, Lord Shiva, who is dedicated to auspicious, benevolent work for humanity, compassionately took the whole quantity of poison in the palm of his hand and drank it. Purport. Although there was such a great quantity of poison that it spread all over the universe, Lord Shiva had such great power that he reduced the poison to a small quantity so that he could hold it in his palm. One should not try to imitate Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva can do whatever he likes, but those who try to imitate Lord Shiva by smoking ganja and other poisonous things will certainly be killed because of such activities. Text 43. As if in defamation, the poison born from the ocean of milk manifested its potency by marking Lord Shiva's neck with a bluish line. That line, however, is now accepted as an ornament of the Lord. Okay, so I'll do the Sanskrit now. Oh, great. Tapyante loka tapena tapyante loka tapena sadava prayasho janaha sarva prayasho janaha paramaradhanam tad di paramanadam tad di purusha shakilatmanaha tapyante lokataptena sadva prasyasojanaha paramalodanam tati purushasya kilatmanaha tapyante lokataptena sarva prayasojanaha paramaradhanam taddi purushasya kilatmanaha tapyante lokataptena sarva prayasojanaha paramaradhanam taddi purushasya kilatmanaha tapante lokataptena paramaradhanam taddi purushasya kilatmanaha taptena paramadana Tapyante lokataptena sarvara shojana. Rishashikilatmanaha Tapyante, voluntarily suffer. Lokatapena, because of the suffering of the people in general. Sadhava, saintly persons. Prayashaha, almost always. Janaha, such persons. Parama aradhanam, the topmost method of worshipping. Tat, that activity. He, indeed. Purusha, the supreme person. Akila Atmanaha, who is the super soul of everyone. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. It is said that great personalities almost always accept voluntary suffering because of the suffering of people in general. This is considered the highest method of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present in everyone's heart. Responsibly, please. It is said that the great personalities almost always accept voluntary suffering because of the suffering of people in general. This is considered the highest method of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was present in everyone's heart. Purport. Here is an explanation of how those engaged in activities for the welfare of others are very quickly recognized by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 18:68-69, Ya idam paramam guyam bhakteshu abhidashati na cha tasman manusheshu kaschin me priyakritamaha. One who preaches the message of Bhagavad Gita to my devotees is most dear to me. No one can excel him in satisfying me by worship. There are different kinds of welfare activities in this material world, but the supreme welfare activity is the spreading of Krishna consciousness. Other welfare activities cannot be effective, for the laws of nature and the results of karma cannot be checked. It is by destiny or the laws of karma that one must suffer or enjoy. For instance, if one is given a court order, he must accept it, whether it brings suffering or profit. Similarly, everyone is under obligation to karma and its reactions. No one can change this. Therefore, the Shastra says, Tasyaiva hetu prayatate kovido lalabde yat brahmatam uparajyataha. One should endeavor for that which is never attained by wandering up and down the universe as a result of the reactions of karma. What is that? One should endeavor to become Krishna conscious. If one tries to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, he should be understood to be performing the best welfare activity. The Lord is automatically very pleased with him. If the Lord is pleased with him, what is left for him to achieve? If one has been recognized by the Lord, even if he does not ask the Lord for anything, the Lord, who is within everyone, supplies him whatever he wants. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Tesham nitya bhukjak viyuktanam yogashemam vyaham. Again, as stated here, tapyante lokataptena sarva prayashojanaha. The best welfare activity is raising people to the platform of Krishna consciousness, since conditioned souls are suffering only for want of Krishna consciousness. The Lord himself also comes to mitigate the suffering humanity. Yada yada hidamasya gane bhavati bharata adudatma damasya tadatmanam sujamyaham prachanaya sadhunam vinasaraya chatuskritam damasam stapana Taya Sambhavu Yuge Yuge. Whenever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. I event myself millennium after millennium, Bhagavad Gita 4:7-8. All the sastras conclude, therefore, that spreading the Krishna consciousness movement is the best welfare activity in the world because of the ultimate benefit this bestows upon people in general. The Lord very quickly recognizes such service performed by a devotee. Om Ganatimirandasya Gananjana Shilakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pustaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschachari Shatarane Vancha Kalpa Chubhischa Kripa Sindhu Bhyevicha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you, devotees, for giving me this opportunity, allowing me to share something from the Bhagavatam. I was reflecting about how to actually give class in front of senior devotees like a Dr. Krishna Prabhu, because it's not really a position of a junior to speak or try to so-called preach in front of a senior. But I was just thinking, we're not really have to get in this mood of preaching. We're just trying to share what we've read, what we've heard, and then just basically bounce it off each other. It's nice. The words paraspara in Sanskrit means discussion. There's the famous verse from the Bhagavad Gita. I don't remember it. I don't know it actually. It talks about how devotees enjoy having this discussion of Krishna's activities and pastimes, and so this is all we're actually doing when we're sat here. It's just one person leading. It's like leading the kirtan, right? That's the only way I can get through the mental blocks, is thinking like that. So what we wanted to look into was this element of compassion that Lord Shiva's showing throughout this whole pastime, specifically these verses. It's really coming up. And I just wanted to head back to the first verse, because it starts with it's more like the root, it's the idea of water in the root. Lord Shiva is saying that we do this compassion, and this is the thing that will please the Lord, and through pleasing the Lord we'll please everyone else. And so it's the same with all of our activities. We try to do everything for the pleasure of the Lord, and then we'll also be satisfied through that, instead of trying to satisfy ourselves, which can be very difficult. Well, Lord Shiva's making a very nice point. He's going to take up this act of compassion to save the living entities, to take away a bit of their anxiety, and save them, like, physically as well. Probably the poison would most likely have killed everyone, right? If he just let it go, would have caused great devastation. So this is a great act of compassion, and this compassion is what's going to please the Lord as well. And then yesterday, Rainis had mentioned about how Lord Shiva was asking Parvati if he could drink this poison, And as a brahmachari, I'm not so well versed in the intricacies of married life. I thought I'd ask Dr. Prabhu to give some light on this, because we hear that, the husband is Guru Pati, right? The spiritual master of the wife, but we see here is they're treating each other like equals. He's asking permission as well. I did look into it a little bit, but I didn't know it was like a bona fide quote, so I didn't want to share it on the Vyasa. Is there anything that you could share regarding the husband approaching the wife and asking for permission to do something?
She's referred to as Bhagavati, isn't she?
Yeah,
there's different aspects. Durga is one aspect where she's very ruthless, and then there's ones where she's more approachable. And Bhavani, I don't 100% know, but that it seems that aspect of the material nature is compassionate. And so although her job is to keep us here, and at the same time, her job is also to look out for our welfare, you know. So the feminine nature is the Shakti. Wherever there's the male, the energetic, then there's always the female, the energy, and the male is only full when the Shakti is there also. You know? So you see the interplay there that's going on between the energetic and the energy, that the energetic is respectful toward the energy and the energy is respectful. I was just thinking, yesterday I was doing something and I wasn't really thinking, and it was just happening. I was using different parts of my body and they were all so well coordinated. I was thinking, Krishna's energy is like this. All the different desires that he wants, they're all arranged by his potencies so that he can fulfill his desires and his pastimes. So same here with the interplay with Lord Shiva. He desired it, she recognized that was his desire, and so everything flowed smoothly.
It also mentions later, it mentions in this verse where she knew perfectly well the capabilities of Lord Shiva, and you know, you'd expect this from, like, you know, a partnership. You know, the two would know each other very well, you know, so they know what they can do, what they're capable of. But it's interesting that Lord Shiva is still asking permission, and Bhavani knows for sure that this poison is not going to kill Lord Shiva, and he's quite capable of taking it. And so yeah, that was very nice thing from Rainis yesterday, which I didn't quite agree with at first, but then I looked into it. So, you know, I just, he'd mentioned that, you know, he was asking permission, and you remember what you said, right? Yeah. Anyway, well, now we're on the same page, so this is all good. Yeah. So then afterwards, I'm talking about humility, compassion. Yeah. So I was thinking some time ago. We spoke a little bit. It was quite a while ago, maybe in the. Can't remember. It was maybe it's still in the 6th canto. We talked a little bit about the Bhakti in different modes of nature, and I kind of wanted to bring that up now, which is interesting, because just as we read the Nectar of Devotion, it mentioned the Yajna Brahmins from Vrindavan. You know, the ones that were doing and Krishna approached them. So there's like different modes of nature: Bhakti in the modes of ignorance, Bhakti in the mode of passion, and Bhakti in the mode of goodness, and then the Shuddha Sattva Bhakti, or, you know, pure and unalloyed devotional service. And the Yajna Brahmins, they were described as actually Bhakti in the mode of goodness, because they were doing their Bhakti for purification, following duty, and then the other ones is like Bhakti in the mode of ignorance is Bhakti that's destructive, which is, again, was interesting, because it mentioned Kaliya, who's Bhakti in the mode of ignorance, is destructive and is done begrudgingly as well, right? It's just another word that's used. And then Bhakti in the mode of passion, which is represented by the Keshi demon, which represents doing Bhakti for, you know, self-aggrandizement, to get some fame and glory, to make ourselves look good. So yeah, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because then we have, of course, pure unalloyed devotional service, which is generally done just for the satisfaction of Krishna, and which is what we see in an example of here, because Lord Shiva's doing this service just for the satisfaction of the Lord. So this is pure devotional service. That's kind of why I wanted to bring it up, because this mood of compassion of the Vaishnava, of trying to save everyone, of trying to take some hardships, is pure bhakti. You know, it's one of the nice behaviors. So yeah, from that, I'm going to head over to the Chaitanya Charitamrita, because there's a nice verse about Madhavendra Puri. Actually, my Guru Maharaj gave a class on that, I think, 2 years ago. Probably know this verse, right? Yeah, it's is in Madhya Lila, chapter 17, 185, and it says, the devotee's behavior establishes the true purpose of religious principles. The behavior of Madhavendra Puri is the essence of such religious principles. I just thought it was a very nice verse to quote at this point, because we see that the devotee's behavior is that of compassion, because a devotee is always trying to bring someone to Krishna. So that's like the highest compassion is the highest welfare work, which the word just came to me during my japa. I don't know, it just came out of nowhere. It's para upakar, right? This is like the highest welfare work. So this is the mood of the Vaishnava. This is the mood of compassion, and you know, it's like the ornament, you know. It's like the ornament of the Vaishnava is his behavior, and I was reflecting on that as well in regards to our Sankirtan, and why we, you know, we have to be very conscious of our actions on the street, you know, what we do, how we interact with people. Because, you know, these days, listen to Navina Narada Prabhu quite a lot, and he's saying these days people, they don't listen so much, they just observe, you know, they just see us. So they're just trying to see what we're doing. And so it's this behavior that we have on the street, it has to be our ornament. We have to try to keep that as one of the topmost things. And so there was a situation that happened yesterday on the street with myself and Alan Prabhu, isn't it? We was first. I was still on the street speaking with one lady, and she wasn't going to take a book, and she was just walking off. But before she walked off, this Christian couple came over and started like, you know, I thought they knew each other, so she was saying, "No, don't speak to this person. He's a false prophet." You know, like really like giving me a hard time. You know, it's Christian lady, you know, so-called Christian lady, and initially, you know, you think, well, this is quite irritating, you know. So you can maybe get a little angry or react. But try not to react at all, and just keep the you know, just whatever it was. She walked off and then went and did the same with Alan as well, you know.
It's actually really disrupted. This person really disrupted what was a nice exchange.
Yeah,
the person was, you know, an atheist, but she was interested, and she was, from what she had heard, she was actually going to read the book and was going to take it further. And then when this zealous,
envious
Christian came over, was he's a false prophet, don't listen to him. And she just interjected in such a harsh way that it really put this person off, and they walked away. And I could really feel something inside myself, like that it was definitely offensive what she done.
So like when these things happen, we have to like try to keep our behavior within, like these reactions, not let them come out. We have to try to keep our behavior in line with Vaishnava standards. Because you know, if we reacted, maybe it's not going to be so bad for, you know, it's not such a bad thing. But the thing is, other people would see, and then they would see our behavior, and then that would affect, you know, how they perceive us, isn't it? So that ornament, which is our behavior, would no longer be there, you know. So yeah, I tried to share that reflection. And the reason why, because we have this verse here where it's talking about the bluish line on Lord Shiva's neck, and how it's accepted as an ornament. And it seems that because Lord Shiva's taken this poison out of compassion, he gets this mark on his neck, which becomes beautiful, and it beautifies Lord Shiva. And even though in the verse it says as if in defamation, so it's like the poison was actually trying to, like, for example, this lady was trying to like defame us, you know, make us look very, very not so good, you know, and you know, but actually through our reaction, the way we treat the situation, it becomes an ornament. The behavior of the devotee becomes an ornament, and it doesn't defame us at all. It's like an Kshatriya. If a Kshatriya has like a scar from a battle, that becomes like an ornament. You know, it's not like an ugly thing. It's meant to be nice. Yeah, so then we also have another example in the CC of so yeah, you probably heard this paradukkha dukkhi, right? This is what we're talking about. This is the Vaishnava's mood of compassion. You know, he's sad to see those that are in suffering. You know, so we have a very elevated example in the CC of Vasudev Datta, who's an associate of Lord Chaitanya, and he was praying to Lord Chaitanya that he could take all the sinful reactions of all the people of the world. You know, it was very advanced, but I don't know much about the pastime. I just know the overview. Is there anything you can share on the pastime about Vasudev Datta? I just know the overview.
Vasudev Datta was the brother of Mukunda Datta, wasn't he? And they were both wonderful singers. And so Lord Chaitanya said, "You don't have to suffer. I'll just liberate them." But the whole universe was still there. And then he said, "Well, I just evacuated all the bodies. Everyone went back to Godhead, and I've replaced all the bodies with souls from the Pradhan."
Great. Yeah, so thank you, Prabhu. It's very like technical, right? You know, but yeah, this mood of Vasudeva Datta is very elevated. So I don't think it's something that we have to imitate, right? You know, like making these prayers to take all the Prahlad as well. Yeah, I was gonna get to Prahlad. Prahlad's next on the list. Yeah. So yeah. He was. Oh wow, amazing. Just Prahlad, or was there any? Sometimes they have a few, right? Oh, that's far out. Okay, thank you. I should add that to the list. So yeah, we're talking about taking on the suffering from others and anxiety. That was another thing. There's a nice video of Navina Narada Prabhu again, and he was talking about this, taking the anxiety away from on the street. So it was telling the story. It was distributing books somewhere, and there was one lady shouting on the phone like anything, really angry. And he was thinking, I have two options: I rather ignore her or I approach her and speak with her. So he chose to speak with her, you know. And he goes up and says, "Is your mind your best friend or your worst enemy?" And then she says something like, I know what you're trying to do. Just keep talking. So they keep talking, and you know, eventually they really open their hearts up. You know, so the compassion's flowing very nicely. And she takes some books. So Prabhu was saying at the end of the video that when we're on the street, we should try to take some anxiety off the people, and then Krishna will really reciprocate with that. So this is again the mood of paradukkha dukkhi. You know, we see like these people that are suffering, and we'll listen to them, and we'll take some of their suffering on board on our shoulders, and that will help them, and Krishna will reciprocate with us as well. And we see this from this pastime with Lord Shiva. He's taking on the poison, and he's getting reciprocated with. Yeah. So I just share these two verses from Prahlad Maharaj. Maybe you can pop them up. There's Canto 7, Chapter 9, Text 43 and 44. So this is a Prahlad in his mood of like compassion, and you know, he doesn't want to just go back to the spiritual world alone. He doesn't want to go there. So, O best of the great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence, for wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness, maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I am simply concerned with love for them. Next verse. My dear Lord Nrsimhadev, I see that there are many saintly persons indeed, but they are interested only in their deliverance. Not caring for the big cities and towns, they go to the Himalayas or the forest to meditate with vows of silence. Manavrat. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone. Leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals, I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to the shelter of your lotus feet. And it's just, it's a very deep mood of Prahlad Maharaj. Even when Nrsingadev was offering a boon, he wanted his father to be liberated as well. He didn't want his father to be punished, even though his father had done so much heinous acts, thrown him off a cliff, put him into a pit of snakes, tried to drown him, so many things. We all watched the movie, right? So many things he did, but Prahlad Maharaj is so compassionate and so understanding that he didn't want any revenge. He just wanted his father to be liberated from his suffering. So I'm just finished on the last point, which is to do with Sankirtan. You know, it's Sankirtan realizations. No, not exactly, but yeah, I was hoping from talking about compassion that maybe it would help me develop some myself. You know, this is when we learn and understand and gain some knowledge, maybe we can actually gain it ourselves. So it's like my prayers for this presentation. But we have these verses that came up in the purport text 68 and 69 of the 18th chapter. And Krishna is saying those that give this knowledge to others are the most dear to him. So you know that we understand that the highest welfare work is giving Krishna consciousness, and the best way to give Krishna consciousness is to distribute books on the street or other places as well. But you know, we meet people on the street and we're giving them books, and they're either taking it home and reading it themselves, or they're taking it home and giving it to someone else. This is our mood of compassion in our line, at least from Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Previous acharyas as well, they were printing and distributing books. Narottam Das Thakur was the original Sankirtan party from just after Lord Chaitanya's time. I was traveling and distributing sastras. They're all written down on palm leaves before the printing press. And there's all done out of this mood of compassion, of giving, trying to give this Krishna consciousness, so people can be saved from themselves, from the material energy. Just one drop of this nectar can be like, you know, such a lifeline for someone, you know. Yeah, yesterday I met one Nepali lady, first one that made a donation, and then initially she didn't stop, and then she came back, and you know, I just presented what we're doing, as we generally do with people from a Hindu background. We present what we're doing and ask if they want to help out with the donation, as advised by His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu. Yeah, she was happy to help out. She made a £5 donation. So we gave him one of the hardback Bhagavad Gitas. And she was like, wow, this is exactly what I needed today. And I was like, oh, are you having a bad day? She goes, yeah, I'm having a really bad day, but I've got to go back to work now. I was like, great, you know, you can open the Bhagavad Gita and read a verse. Which was so much appreciation was there. Just this book. It was very nice. So yeah, that's me trying to end on a sweet note. So I'll pass it over to the devotees in the room if they want to ask any questions or correct me.
So it's obvious to me. It's obvious from this section of the Bhagavatam that book distribution is very relevant. So we would take that for granted because that's what we do here, you know. Right. But they don't. It's not necessarily the same everywhere, you know. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's good to make a note of these verses, because in the future you may need to draw on them, you know, to defend your position. Srila Prabhupada said the highest principle is to save yourself first. Right. So if any other compassionate activity infringes upon yourself, unless you're a Nitya Siddha Uttama Bhagavat, then you should decline from getting involved. Because if you go down, then there's so many people that you could have helped. And I was thinking it would be nice to do a Sangha maybe every 2 weeks. Yeah, a Sankirtanista Gosti. And we can share different insights or difficulties. How do we deal with it? The Kanishta would deal with that situation with that person that broke up the sail in one way. A Manjima would deal with it in another way, and an Uttama would deal with it in another way again, you know. But if we are Kanishtas, then we just have to accept that. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there were some devotees that were Kanishtas, and they were very upset by the way these people were preaching against Lord Chaitanya, but they couldn't defeat them, so they just came back to Lord Chaitanya, you know. Or in our case, we could go to our spiritual master and say, this happened, and that would be a very relevant question out of all the questions that the spiritual master gets asked. That would be really relevant, how to deal with in the preaching field with particular problems, you know.
And the spiritual master would be very pleased as well when we're asking these kind of questions.
And he would give you an Uttama Adhikari answer, or at least a Majjhima Adhikari answer, which then you could aspire for. Also, I read a few books on nonviolent communication. So quite often when people are being rude to you, what they're really doing is they're crying out for love. They're crying out for a genuine connection with somebody. And if you're able to translate it and not react to the distorted message behind what they're saying, then it completely shocks them, and it makes them very, you connect with them very much, and they trust you very much, you know. So it's a very powerful.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that, you know, someone that's following this Christianity, you know, this faith, they're putting out this energy so much, this kind of anger, but actually they're crying out for love, you know. But you know, if they're you know, following Christianity as it's supposed to be, because I heard from one sharing with, Sri Kirti Prabhu, when his mother passed, his mother left the world, she was a Christian. Prabhupada said if she's a good Christian, she'll go to Christian Loka, you know. So, you know, Prabhupada likes Christians, right? Like good Christians, you know, because it's a personal relationship with God. So, if they're angry because they're not receiving love, it seems that they're not practicing properly.
If it was the other way around, then we wouldn't react in the same way, because we have a sense of security. They have an insecurity there because they're not really aligned, and that's coming out, you know. Srila Prabhupada would never go past thou shalt not kill, and God has more than one son. So that would be how he wouldn't proceed further with the conversation if they couldn't achieve those two premises. I was going to mention also, it takes a long time sometimes to get to the point of being compassionate, but if you can become compassionate, it sustains your Sankirtan. You'll be able to continue on. Sometimes the way you can do Sankirtan because it's getting a good result. And then when the result isn't there, then he loses he becomes bewildered, actually. He starts wondering whether he should be doing Sankirtan at all, you know.
Right.
But if it's compassion, the compassion is always there, can always be sustained, you know.
Doing Sankirtan in the mode of compassion, that would be like transcendental Sankirtan, right?
It would be that when you saw the person later on, you wouldn't be able to remember whether they took a book or whether they gave a donation, because the exchange had been so sweet that you just felt very fulfilled, that you'd left them in a very nourishing way, which you knew would be make them receptive to further steps in their Krishna consciousness, you know. So that exchange was so satisfying that later on you can't remember. So that's a good sign. Whereas if you look and you say, oh, there's £3.52 and there's £7.22, and he's a great guy, he was 12.68, you know, and everyone's just defined by the amount, which is total mode of passion, you know. So compassion is when you can go beyond that.
Also, we sometimes we say, you know, we're going out for Sankirtan for our own purification. Sometimes you hear this from devotees. But that would be in the mode of goodness, right? That would be like sort of back in the mode of goodness.
Well, when you go out, if it's really, really tough, it's for your purification. And if it's really, really easy, it's their purification. So you just don't know who's going to get purified that day. And it's an interesting story of how compassion works. A man was going back in the train and this guy got on with his kids and they were jumping all over the place. And then he got really angry and the guy says, I'm sorry, the mother's just died. So that was in nonviolent communication. If you want to see things, it may have been 7 habits actually, but if you want to change, then you have to see things differently.
Yeah.
That's how you can change. So if you would like to be a more compassionate person, then you'd have to have sufficient knowledge and faith as to all the hellish planets they're going to be going to, you know.
Anyone else? A question, comment, correction?
And just to finish, an interesting observation. 500 years ago, they didn't have the printing press. But it's interesting that when you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj will quote a verse from Rupa Goswami. And then sometimes Rupa Goswami will quote a verse. Actually, Swarup Damodar quotes a verse from Krishnadas Kaviraj. So it seems that although there wasn't very many manuscripts written down, the ones that were there they were handing them around. They were very conversant with each other's, and then when they had one that they really liked, and they would use it themselves, you know.
Yeah, like in the CC, you always hear Krishnadas Kaviraj quoting from Chaitanya Bhagavat. I always mention in Chaitanya Bhagavat. So it's quite obvious that Krishnadas Kaviraj had read the Chaitanya Bhagavat quite extensively because he was like being very careful not to mention this pastime. He was saying, I don't want to say this because I'm making offense.
There's a nice little insight as well where Rupa Goswami is prompted to recite his play by Ramananda Roy. He doesn't want to, he's very shy. And he says, come on, and as he starts speaking, I think that's where he says, Tunde Tanda Vanira Tandi Tanate, Tanda Vanila Te. That holy name, how much nectar has been produced by the two syllables Krishna. And they're all relishing it. I'm like, wow. And they're making him speak more, you know, from there. It was Lalita Madhava or Vidagta Madhava, one of those plays, you know.
Yeah.
So that's like real sadhu sangha, you know.
Yeah, it's very nourishing.
And for us as well, we could, like, I'm finding it really helpful. I'm journaling my japa and I'm writing down distillations. And then you can imagine if we got together every couple of weeks and everyone was sitting and we were all just sharing our different realizations of the holy name.
I got my little notebook here from my readings. Write down like parts from the purports which I really like. It's really takes a little longer to read, but it's great because you know you keep a lot more in. You know, it's very nice. I highly recommend it. You know, even if you just like you just literally copy and paste, you know. But it's just
This is the ego coming out. Like steps out of the swamp, ascend determinedly. Material desire taps me on the shoulder, warning me, I need to try harder. Don't slow down to hear, speed up to hear. It's below the standard, but I'm still turning up. Be tight and bright. Hit the ground of hearing, running. When I worry, I hesitate. When I hesitate, I turn away. When I turn away, I forget Krishna. When I forget Krishna, I forget everything.
Very nice. We're waiting for your book, Prabhu.
Well, really for the book to be useful. We've done it Swami. The second half of Japa meditations is all the devotees that he thought were really good after they'd done 64 hours. So we have a Japa Sangha here, we'll all do 64, then we all gather, and then we'll just converse. What was your insight, what happened to you?
It'd be nice to do it because when I first did Japa Sangha, I think we had a Japathon, maybe the first year that I'd been at the temple, and I was still kind of getting my head a bit clear after all the drugs, you know. I was like, whoa, it was a bit trippy, you know. But it'd be nice to do it again.
Yeah, there's a tipping point. And I noticed it was after about the 40th round,
Yeah.
there's a tipping point. There's just by sheer volume of the sound vibration, everything changes. But you have to be determined to just keep pushing because the kids are like, oh, this is just a waste of time. I can do this and can't get it. Then suddenly everything changed.
Jai.
Haribol.
Haribol. Granth Sahib Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Vaishnav Seva, Vaishnav Sangha ki jai. Gaura Premanandi, Hari Haribol. Boo.